A quick glance at her watch told her the big staff meeting was in 30 minutes, and she simply had to talk to Mr. Quaid before then. To say the transition in ownership had been rocky would be an understatement. Everyone was still grieving a bit. A pang rose up, one she quickly tamped down, and that exacerbated the situation too. Honestly, things had been on the grim side for the Mustangs for a while. After several lackluster seasons, including the last one where they hadn't won a single game, they were quickly turned into the joke of the NFL. But that was a different problem for a different day. A section of her hair fell forward as she glanced at the door, the brown fringe obscuring the stainless steel knob for a moment. Just forget who he is and who he was, and talk to him like you would anyone else. After all, she'd had to reprimand countless employees for breaking the rules in the 7 years she'd worked here. In all but a few cases, the people involved corrected their bad behavior, and the work environment was better for it. She sucked in a big breath, transferred the bulk of what she was carrying into her left arm, and rapped on the door, nice and loud. A muffled, "Come in," filtered through the wood, and she opened the door and stepped inside the large office. Nothing had changed. The windows still boasted a nice view of downtown. The large flat-screen TV was tuned to sports highlights but on mute, and every dark wood surface gleamed. 2 cushy chairs that looked like they were meant for giants sat facing the large desk, and awards and trophies from decades ago, when the team had won a fair amount of games, were in a large glass case that lined the far wall. The scent was different, though. Woodsy and masculine. Not a hint of that spicy cologne that Mr. Price had worn. The pang she'd smothered returned and morphed into a sharp twinge she couldn't as easily ignore. He was really gone, the man who'd taken a chance on her at a time she was afraid no one would. Sure, he'd been a tad dismissive of the few ideas she'd lobbed his way during meetings, but his kindness more than made up for his old-school ways. It hit her all over again that he would never stop by her office to ask how her day was going, or toss her one of those hard caramels he always kept in his suit pocket. Lance Quaid glanced up, the full impact of his blue eyes hitting her. "Did we have an appointment?" The vague hand gesture he made her realize he needed her to fill in her name. Of course he didn't remember. He'd met a lot of people over the past week, so she tried not to take it personally. Tried not to compare him to his grandfather, who made it a point to catalog every staff member's name, no matter how big or small their position with the Mustangs. It wore a little shine off the famous ballplayer, too, which would make it easier to be firm. "Charlotte James. I'm the Human Resources Manager." Right. He ran a hand through his nearly black hair, although the strands were short enough it didn't make a mess of it. Guys had it so easy. A dab of hair gel and they were done. Whereas she had to use 3.5 products, decide whether to go curly or straight before her hair refused to do either, and the lightest breeze or hint of humidity could destroy all her efforts in 2 seconds flat. That was the nice thing about a pretty pair of shoes. They always looked good. And since she was a short woman in a world of tall men, they also gave her a few inches boost. "Sorry," he said. "This past week's been a bit of a blur." Understandable. Time to get on with what she came here to do. "While I didn't make an official appointment, Mr. Quaid, there are—" "Lance, please." She wished he hadn't interrupted, since it'd been so challenging to just start that sentence, but she could roll with it. "Fine. Lance, there are a few things I need to talk to you about before the meeting. There've been complaints about you and the way you talk to people." One dark eyebrow arched, but the slight twist to his lips made him appear more amused than worried. "I'm sure there have been. Gotta break a few eggs and all that." While she'd wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, he didn't seem to be taking this seriously. And people weren't eggs.